Welcome to iRock City. This is your host, Rocket Rasul. As usual, I'm joined by the K9, and we have a special guest. To introduce special guest, please welcome Imran from Toronto. How's it going?
Good, man. How about you, man? How's everything?
Yeah, everything is good. Just staying inside and playing video games and doing this, listening to music. That's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we can do nowadays. But stay safe. That's all I suggest.
Absolutely. Do you want to introduce our special guest?
Yeah. So I've been waiting a long time to give this kind of introduction. So finally, I get to give this introduction. So 45 years ago, about 10 badasses died, and then Aatif was born.
You waited for that? Okay, okay.
You were
Make it 20. Sounds better, man. 10. Come
yeah,
on, man. 10.
yeah. I want to say that Atif was I don't want to say unusual character, but he was a very funny guy who did a lot of funny stuff that would crack
Thank you.
all of us up, and
Yes.
it was in the realm of between bad and funny.
Yes. I at least you have a taste for comedy. So you appreciate my art. So thank you. I
Yeah, it's
got one
good.
fan.
Yeah. I was a longtime fan. I was like, yo, this guy, he's a badass. This is the guy you want to be around.
Thank you. Hello, Facebook and SoundCloud or whoever's out there. Konnichiwa and hello and good morning, ohayo gozaimasu, whatever it is, whatever time of the day it is. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's me. It's me, the badass, still alive, still kicking,
Good,
ready
good
to
to hear.
roll.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So, before we start off, we usually have this little segment where we ask what we've been listening to. So, since you are
Okay.
our guest of honor today, Atif, can you tell us these days what have you been listening to in quarantine?
In quarantine, I've not been listening to any metal. So I know this is about it's gonna get there into metal, Metallica, all that. But recently, I've been listening to jazz.
Okay.
Wes Montgomery. He's a jazz player. He's a guitarist, right?
Hmm.
Guitarist, jazz player, and he's very unique because he's very good. First of all, but the second thing is he doesn't use a pick. He plays with his thumb.
Oh,
So
wow.
it is. Yeah,
Wow.
you gotta Google him. Wes
Hmm.
Montgomery. Great, super talent, a legend, well known in the jazz world,
Hmm.
and I think all these guys, the musicians and all that, they all know who he is. He's a major influence for his fluidity. He moves very fast, and he
Right.
uses his thumb to pick. It's quite remarkable stuff. So that's what I've been listening to. So how
Nice.
about you guys?
And I just wanted to ask a couple of questions
Yeah.
about Wes. So now, is Wes from like the '60s, the '70s, or
Oh, that's a good question. I think he started playing in the 50s.
okay?
And yeah, and he kind of peaked in the 60s when he started touring Europe. Did a lot of tours around Europe, Belgium, France, that kind of stuff. And he died early. I don't know how he died, but he was quite young when he died. I think mid 40s, almost 50. No drugs or alcohol, none of that kind of stuff. But he just passed away. But his music kind of lives on to this day.
Nice. So he's like a contemporary of like guys like Chet Baker and I want to say the trumpeter that did Bitches Brew, um,
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis. So he's a contemporary of those guys, I would say,
Yeah,
right?
they all know this cat.
Okay,
Uh,
awesome, awesome.
yeah. And his influence on rock music is there too. Guys like Tommy Iommi,
Hmm.
Black Sabbath.
Right.
They cite him. They cite him as a source. And
Oh, interesting.
there's this other guy. His name is Aatif. Cites him as a source as well. So yeah. But he's
uh,
well known. He's well known in the guitar. Was a solid dude.
okay. Nice, nice. Ahmed, what have you been listening to?
Yeah, for me, like after the Metallica thing, I was started listening to a lot of Megadeth. So
Right.
yeah, it's
Oh,
pretty much Megadeth. Trying to
nice.
go through all the albums. Yeah, really enjoying it. It's pretty cool.
Which album? Any
Uh,
particular album? The old stuff, the new stuff?
yeah, the older stuff like Rest in Peace,
Yeah,
like even
nice,
Oh, very
Euthanasia.
nice.
nice,
So
nice.
now, Ahmed, chronologically, it's this particular album, "Rest in Peace." Did it come right after his firing from Metallica?
I always
Or
confuse the first two albums. I
okay,
think it was the second album.
okay, so it was during that time. You would say like the
Yeah, yeah,
early
roughly.
to
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, okay,
That was the early stuff. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
definitely.
So definitely something to check out. Maybe like I would say like a thrash metal uh, must listen to kind of deal, right?
Definitely.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely.
Nice, nice. Um, so now it's to me. I've been listening to a lot of stuff, just a lot of eclectic stuff because I'm really terribly.
Junoon?
I didn't. You know what? I didn't pick up Janoon. I didn't pick up Janoon. I will. I probably today I'll try to more Nuri, but
Ah, Nudie. Right, right, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I listened to a hip hop artist by the name of Jay Electronica. His album was supposed to come out, and it's a very interesting album. Very interesting album. Pretty good. Pretty decent. Again, highly recommended. And then for the rock side, two albums. I was listening to David Bowie's Low and
Okay.
more again back into deep into like I want to say like last decade's Foo Fighters.
The last decade of Foo Fighters. You mean the
Yeah,
last? Okay.
yeah,
Current,
yeah,
going back 10 years.
yeah. So pretty much from 2018, 2010 to their most recent album, which I believe was 2017 or 2018. I can't remember, but during that time. So
Right. Because I recently, well, not recently, last year, I got that album, Concrete and Gold.
oh yeah, that's a good
Yeah, yeah,
album.
I got. Yeah,
Okay, if you say so. I mean, I didn't hate it,
Hmm.
but I'm like, what's going on here, man? Okay, cool, whatever, man. It's
Yeah,
your life, that kind of thing. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't
yeah,
bad. I think it's the way it was recorded
right,
was
right.
just not my thing. But in terms of music,
Hmm.
it's not bad like that.
It's so interesting that you say the way it was recorded because during that time when they were recording Concrete and Gold, they had
Yeah,
just come off from that documentary Rock City. No, not
yeah.
Sound City.
Sound City. There it
Sound
is,
City. That's
Sound
right. Yeah,
City. So what they had done was like, okay, now we're going to record at all these famous studios all over the United States, different spots, and come up with a unique sound, kind of giving it a history of where they were recorded. So I think that you pointed out something that was very interesting, that it may sound a bit schizophrenic,
hmm.
right? Because it was
Yeah,
recording different.
it's like it's everything's in your face, all the frequencies. It's not. It's how do I say it? A bit. If you take analog equipment and you
Mhm.
just juice that on 11,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like everything coming at you,
Mhm.
right? So I understand where it's coming from, but I was like, I don't know, maybe a little bit more refined in the vintage kind of sound might work for me. But that's just my opinion. But in terms of songs and all that, it wasn't so bad. It was okay. It's good
Yeah.
listening.
No, no, your opinion is this is where your opinion counts. Today,
Oh
your
yes,
opinion
all right.
matters.
Yeah, I'm the star of the show. My show, God damn it. Say
Yeah.
whatever I want. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah, pretty much
that's
it.
what I thought.
Your opinion
Yeah.
today counts a lot.
Only today. Right.
Well, today you're the superstar.
Thank you.
So, um,
But yeah, I enjoyed it. But I do like their earlier stuff.
right.
Not,
So
not not in the very beginning, but somewhere in the middle.
yeah,
Like what's that song? There Goes My Hero and
right.
Oh, yeah, the Shape album. Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
favorite one.
Everlong and
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, Color in the Shape.
that
Yeah,
kind of era.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
I
Second
really
album.
like that.
Yeah. So you're pretty much everything I believe is from '99 to I want to say 2008.
Something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went the other way because I listened to a lot of those '99 to 2008 albums, and I think I told Ahmed Rasul this that when I went to go see Foo Fighters live. I was just like, oh, I'll just go see them live. I'm not a hardcore fan, but the funny thing was, I was singing every single song, and I was
Oh, okay.
really enjoying it. And then when I look back, again, I didn't realize this that always in the background, I would be listening to Foo Fighters a lot. Like it's one of those things where you're like, oh, when you sit down to do say homework or work or you know whatever it is that you're doing, I would put on Foo Fighters. And the funny thing is that during that concert, it's like my entire life played out in the last 20
Wait,
years,
wait.
right? Because
Melodrama, भैया.
exactly, because you would because different points of your life can be triggered by
Oh, music, yeah, definitely.
music,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed that concert. I was like, wow, I didn't really. And then from there, I became a hardcore fan. I guess I was, like subliminally, I was like a hardcore fan, and now I'm like overtly a hardcore fan. So yes, that didn't even realize it, but yeah. So yeah, it's that's how I go like deep dive into these albums, and the way I got into the David Bowie trilogy was because of them again, because I heard Under Pressure. They did a live
Right.
rendition in Toronto, and then I was like, oh, let me just listen to more Bowie. And then they said, if you really like Bowie, check out the Berlin trilogy. And I've mentioned that a couple of times on this podcast. And maybe it's not the, you have to kind of ease into it, right? It's a challenging album, the challenging set of albums. So yeah, just to ease into it. But but the reward is definitely there. Moving on.
The way,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying the way you described Foo Fighters concert kind of reminds me of Iron Maiden, because
Right.
everybody back in the, we know they're cool, we know they're good, but
Yeah.
everybody used to say go see Maiden.
Right.
Okay, and once you go see Maiden, and then you're like, oh my god, these guys
Yep,
are incredible.
that
Like,
happened to me. That happened to
yeah,
me. That was actually my first rock concert was Maiden in
Mm.
yeah, and
2008.
it blows your mind away, right? So
Yeah,
seems like a
exactly.
similar story.
Right.
It's all cool. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, because Ahmed, you listened to a lot of Maiden, right? Prior to going to the
Oh,
concert or after as well?
no, I was listening to him a little bit before as a casual fan, but after the concert, I became more of a hardcore fan.
Right. That's the beauty of live music.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
it's true. It's true. It's true. And since we are on the topic of David Bowie, I want to recommend The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders
Yes.
from Mars.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's
Classic
a good
album.
album.
That's a great
Classic
album.
album. Classic album. And the funny thing is, if you guys have it, if you guys, I was at a record store and they had it on vinyl, and I just wound up hanging out at the record store and just listening to that album on vinyl. It's so beautiful, so beautiful.
Right. Vinyl, huh?
I was in the store and they were playing it, so I guess I just hung out.
No, especially the old recording is so analog. On vinyl, it
Right.
must be a
Yeah.
in your face experience, like the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
What other albums by Bowie are you into? Because I'm listening to Bowie these days.
Oh, okay.
And before the quarantine, anyway, I was listening to Bowie.
So
All right.
I'll tell you the. Let me just bring up his discography over here because I can't remember off
Yeah,
the
I
top
got
of my head.
right. I got Aladdin Sane, Diamond Dogs, and
Diamond
Hunky
Dogs is
Dory.
good. Yeah. So you're basically this is all that prior to the Ziggy Stardust persona and after, right?
Yes.
So I was like, oh, and I listened to that prior, like I think maybe 3-4 years ago, prior to his death, and then everyone's like, yeah, if you really like that stuff, you should definitely check out like his Thin White Duke stuff, and those are albums from the '80s. But let me
This,
get these the ones for you right
yeah,
now.
go ahead.
So these were Brian Eno and Ahmed Rasul can fill you in because I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember. Ahmed Rasul, Brian Eno is from Roxy Music or no?
I think so.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
not sure.
I got Google in front of me. Should I
Yeah,
Google it?
yeah. Go ahead. I
Well,
have it
I,
too.
I think it's Roxy Music, but let's double check. Roxy Music
He was okay.
says so in Wiki on Wiki. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah. So these were Brian Eno's first, I guess, produced albums, collaborations with him. So there's Heroes, Lodger, and Brian Eno, as you know, is not only from the Roxy Music, but he's also the I don't want to say the brains, but I guess yeah, that's probably it. The brains behind U2. So,
Yes.
um, I get it. So in a
From
way, yeah. So that's where it comes from. Like I'm a huge U2 fan, so I went obviously
oh
like
yeah,
sound.
U2 fan.
Yeah.
Kya baat hai, Ustad? What's your favorite album?
My all-time favorite album is probably Octung Baby,
Same here, man.
because it was
And
that time, right? It
yeah,
was that time.
yeah. It was that time in Saudi Arabia, man. The time of Kullo Haram.
Kullu Haram, and then
Yes.
Kullu Haram, but you
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, you do, yes.
But you too.
Everything's haram. So yeah, no jeans, no shirts, no nothing. No long hair, no short hair. You know how it was, right?
Yeah,
The 90s.
the
Yeah.
90s.
I don't know if any of your listeners lived in Saudi Arabia around that time, but yeah, I'm sure they understand my feelings or
Yeah.
our feelings.
So yeah, that's so I guess there would be a lot of going back and forth with history in this as well. If you don't mind, so further ado, I want to start off. I'll kick off with the first question.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first question is, what was the first rock song you ever heard?
Oh, come on, man. I'm not that young, dude. What's the first rock song that I ever heard?
Yeah,
All right. I've probably Elvis,
Elvis.
Hound Dog.
Okay, Hound Dog. Oh, nice. And
Yeah.
how did you get a hold of that in Saudi Arabia? And
Okay, yes. Because, see, I'm not a young cat. I don't want to reveal my age. I'm older than you guys. But
I think I exposed your age initially when I said X amount of years.
yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Anyway, I hope to have short term memories. Anyway, cool. But back in Saudi Arabia around the 70s,
Mhm.
there was a boom in Indian movies, right?
Right,
So because of guys like Amitabh Bachchan,
right.
right? So all the Pakistanis, Indians, whatever, we get our cassettes from the video store, and they usually come from Kuwait or the UAE, whatever, and it's Indian movies. So there's Indian movies at home, right? But when like my dad be working, he's working for an American company.
Mhm.
So the American guys and the British guys would bring their stuff. Hey, listen to this, watch this, check this out. So then he'd bring in all this, British music, even ABBA
Mhm.
and Elvis. He brought Elvis, and I was very young, and I was like, this is something else. Elvis, the whole hound dog and the dancing, and I really loved it. I'm like, this guy can rock, man. This guy's awesome. So that's the first rock song that I think I heard was a hound dog by Elvis Presley.
Nice. Emma, do you have any follow up question?
I know it's classic, but
What kind of song in I guess in Riyadh made you want to start playing guitar and stuff like that? That was the only thing I could think of right now.
the whole guitar thing was an accident. I never wanted to play the guitar. Yeah, it's completely how do I say it? It's by chance. Let's just put it that way. I mean, you guys all went to Cesar. Cesar was the American school for the listeners. So in 6th grade, they had an activity day. Okay, and you had to sign. Yeah, I don't know if you guys had it in your time. We had it in our time.
Yeah,
right?
I had it in my time.
So you had to sign up for some whatever activity. So I signed up for a few, and they're all pretty much sports. And the teacher said that everything's full, and you wanted to play soccer. Soccer's full. The only thing available is guitar lessons. I'm like, I don't want to do this, And that's what the principal of the school's name was, Mr. Hansen back then, Tim Hansen, great guy. All right. So anyway, so I'm like, all right, let's just give it a try. And then I'm a short kid, huge guitar, Spanish guitar, and he's like, this is a G, this is a C, this is a D, and it was hard as hell. Okay, fingers are like hurting.
Right.
It was done. I never wanted to see that shit again. Okay, and then moving on, went when around the Minara time, we went to high school, Minara to Riyadh, right? I wanted to play guitar, and I'm like, okay, so I should buy a guitar. And my dad got me an acoustic guitar,
Right.
and there was no books, there's nothing, but I remembered the lesson he taught me. He taught me how to tune. He taught me a few basic chords.
Nice.
I don't know how I remember that, but I remembered it, and I played, and I was listening to Nirvana at that time. Nevermind, the album, and I think within the first 2 weeks, I could play pretty much the entire album rhythm wise, just by listening to it. And I'm like, oh shit, there's something going on here. Maybe I should stick with this a little bit. And that's how it started.
Nice. Now going back, you did mention Nirvana. What was the song that made you go, oh yeah, that's it. This is rock and roll, man. This is what I want to play. This is what I want to listen to all my life.
Lithium.
Lithium. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Shit, that song was just awesome back then. I'm like, dang, I love this song. Lithium?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Of course.
Wow. This is my sound right here.
Yeah.
Lithium.
I think both me and Ahmed Rasool have heard that album beginning to end multiple times.
Oh yeah,
What's your favorite track?
lithium.
Do you know? To be honest with you, like if I was to think about like my favorite Nirvana, it wasn't actually off that song. It was from their previous album. I liked Love Bites, and I remember one time I called you in Riyadh, and you played the first few riffs from Love Bite. Well, not Love Bites.
Love buzz, love
Love
buzz.
Buzz. I'm sorry.
Love Buzz. I love that song.
Yeah,
I love that song. But that was later on. Anyway, we'll continue your story. But
yeah.
sorry.
So okay, so that was Lithium was the song that you said. Okay, that's it. This is the one that I want.
That's it, man. We're done. I know what I'm doing.
Nice. Um, now, considering that this we were still in Saudi Arabia, describe the scene. Like, how did guys get a hold of tapes, and how did the guys get a hold of like I want to say like these are the new cool songs. Check this out. Check that out. Because I think the time that you got into music was like the hype. It was exploding. Like it was like all these cool new bands were coming out. Soundgarden was coming out. Metallica had their stellar Black album, and Guns N' Roses had Illusions 1 and 2. So, but how did you guys get a hold of those tapes?
Okay, so there's two parts to this. There's like the 80s era and there's a 90s era.
Okay.
Okay. So because we're talking about Nirvana, we'll stick to the 90s era. The 90s era was all just like I said, kullo haram.
Right.
Okay. So you had to talk to your friends
Mhm.
in school. Some of them lived on compounds.
Right.
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 And they're like, we saw this on MTV. Check this out. And they would record whatever MTV was playing, and you go over to their house or they let you borrow their VHS cassette.
Right.
And that's how we found out about whatever it was, Metallica, Soundgarden, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I remember Red Hot Chili Peppers. I saw a video.
Yeah.
I was like, who's this is really good. The Blood Sugar Sex Magic album. So that's how I found out, because I did not live on a compound.
Mhm.
So those guys were my friends, were my only source. So
Right.
I had to ask them, or they recommend something.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember, I think, I want to say 91, 92, you guys had a booster antenna and you were catching your neighbor's satellite. You had recorded some MTV music videos, and
That's right.
I got a hold of them, and I started watching.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That was my dad. He was really into that stuff.
Right. Into getting booster antenna.
Yeah, we used to get like French TV and some fucking Russian channel, and like, oh, this is awesome, right? And then the Mutawa would come and he's like, ya Sadiq, haram, hada haram, shut that down. We're like, yes, sir. And then he'd go away and we put that sucker right back up,
Right.
So yeah, good times. Yeah, that was my dad. He was into that stuff, man.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, that
Thinking about it, he had a lot of balls. Thinking about it now,
Yeah.
he wasn't scared of Mutawas.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, have a nice day, thank you.
Yeah.
And
because that's those particular videotapes you had recorded. I believe it was like an MTV Awards ceremony, and I had it was one of those. It was that award ceremony for me, at least. It was like, okay, that's it. This is what I want to listen to for the rest of my life. And I believe it was Pearl Jam with Neil Young, and they did "Rockin' in the Freeway."
Okay, right.
And
Keep on rocking in the freeway. That was an awesome
that rendition.
MTV. That was a live, great performance.
Oh, what a amazing performance!
Yeah.
Amazing performance. And there's a bunch of videos from that, you just recorded, and then there's like all the Guns N' Roses videos. There's a lot of
Right.
Metallica videos. There's a lot of dumb videos too. Like I would say Vanilla Ice was there.
Yes. Yeah, hip hop was becoming mainstream.
Hip hop was starting.
It's a very interesting time for music.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time for me. Yeah.
90s, like everything was on, everything was switched on. It was almost like the pop era, but in rock.
Yeah.
And it was a great time to be alive, man. It was really really
Yeah,
cool.
it was actually a really great time to be alive, to be able to be exposed to that.
Yeah.
Nice. That's relating back to my history. Like, so you were, I guess, in a way, you had indirectly influenced my taste as well. Um,
You know how it is. I'm sorry, man, but
so
just,
now you had told
what can I say?
it. So you had mentioned your first guitar. It was an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And so, when did you get your first electric guitar, and what model was it?
Okay, all right. So my dad got me an acoustic guitar. He bought it off a friend. It was a Gibson.
Okay, nice.
Okay,
Oh, no.
nice, right? And I said, nah, I don't want this. This sucks,
Right.
because I didn't know shit about guitars, right?
Hmm.
And everybody was like, "Are you nuts, man? You're gonna sell your Gibson? What's wrong with you?" So and I was like, "Nah, I don't want this." So anyway, I sold it. So there was a guy. I don't know if you know him. His name was. Should I mention his name? His name was Scott Schiff. Let's just say his name was Scott Schiff, right? He lived on, I think it was a King Fahad Hospital compound.
Right.
Uh, right. So he bought a Samick Korean guitar back in the day. That's all you could get in Saudi Arabia. That or some old school Yamaha guitars. That's really it. You're not gonna get your Fenders or your Les Pauls. Forget about it.
Right.
So he had that, and he had a little amp, practice amp, and I just play on that. And eventually, I got some books, basic music
Mhm.
theory, chords and scales, that kind of thing, and just sit there trying to figure this stuff out. Listen, rewind, play like that. Sometimes go to my friend's house, see what they learn, trade a few licks, make up some stuff. That's really it. That's all we could do. There's no internet.
Nice.
You
Right.
know how it
Right.
was.
Right.
Like, yeah, yeah. You just have to I don't know, find the force from within to
Yeah,
somehow.
you do.
Yeah.
You actually have to. Um,
Yeah. So that's how it was, unfortunately. And also, one thing that really helped me back in those days was trying to find interviews that the band has done, like serious interviews, and trying to look
yeah.
for influences, stuff that they used to listen to,
Right.
and try to look for that, and just try to go back, try to backtrack it a bit, see what they listen to, and what did that guy
Hmm.
listen to, and what did this guy listen to, and that really helped in at that era, it was all about practice. So yeah, it really helped with the practice, trying different riffs, different chords, trying to understand song structure.
Yeah.
So
That
that's how I did it.
that's to find good interviews, because I didn't find good interviews until I moved to Canada. I mean, in Riyadh, I think it was virtually impossible. How did you guys?
Well, I used to. Well, you have to tell a friend. He goes back to their country. He buys some magazines.
Right.
He brings them at the airport. They look at it. They ink all that shit black,
Right.
right?
Of course.
And they so all you got is words.
Yeah.
So you gotta look at those words, and you have to filter the garbage from what you gotta figure out your own context.
Yeah.
So what the guy's trying to say, okay, and then you kind of just put the pieces together and you go back.
Hmm.
So what is he listening to? Who's this? Who's
Right.
that? What is he talking about? Let's go find that. Who knows about this? Ask your friends. That kind of stuff. It was just quite painstaking.
Oh, it is. It is. It was. I remember, like I said, I didn't find any of that information. I didn't, like, for the longest time, I didn't know that when Kurt Cobain once said about when they asked him about, like, hey, how did you come up, what influenced you to come up with Nevermind? And he said, I was just trying to make a Pixies album. So that's how I got a hold of Pixies. But that was,
Yeah, what's a pixie? Who's a pixie? How's a pixie? Let's find out about this
yeah,
pixie,
exactly.
right?
But this,
And then
yeah,
you try to find some albums,
yeah,
and then you go to that dodgy store in Shola. What was it? The mall, Shole or Shola, whatever it's
Shola
called.
Center.
Shola, yeah, there's like a mall there, right? And there's a Pixie album, and you listen to it, and it's not even recorded properly. It's copied off some other crap,
Yeah,
and then you have to,
I
okay,
didn't.
doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense, but
I actually.
you gotta work with what you
Yeah,
got.
I didn't even know Pixies until I came to Canada. So, so there's a bunch of stuff that I didn't. Like, you listen to it, but to do the research, I find that very interesting aspect. about what you had, because that's something I didn't really do. I think my source was a mutual friend of ours that everybody knows over here is Adil Lahari, and he's like, he told me like, if you like Guns N' Roses said they were influenced by Aerosmith, so check out Aerosmith. So I
Okay.
think that's how I heard Permanent Vacation and that.
I heard one of their influences was the Rolling Stones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's how I found out about the Rolling
right,
Stones. I mean, you're right about the Aerosmith. They toured
yeah,
together, which I found out much, much later.
right,
But one of their influences is Rolling Stones, and I heard him, and I'm like, nah, man, this is not my cup of tea. Not when you're 16.
yeah. Is you're not,
Okay,
yeah,
this is this is what is this? So they're out. Hendrix, I heard Hendrix through some other band. I don't remember
hmm
what. I didn't like him so much. I liked some of his songs,
right,
Stone Cold and a few other songs. Crosstown Traffic. I like that one. And then we
Oh
saw
yeah.
the movie Wayne's World,
right,
right? So that's all we had. That's
yeah.
really all we had.
That's all we had, and just very limited source. And you had to, I guess, rely. Even coming back from like vacationing in Pakistan, you had more exposure than Saudi Arabia.
That's true. That's true. I remember during the breakdance era in the 80s, I went to Pakistan and my cousin had all these cassettes. They're like, watch this breakdance movie. Watch this one. Watch this. I'm like, what is this, guy? This is like, we don't have any of
Yeah,
this in Saudi Arabia. Kullu haram. I can't see any of that stuff.
yeah,
You know? So Michael Jackson was
yeah.
haram.
Michael Jackson
For,
was haram.
Everything was around.
Yeah,
everything was haram, man. So, yeah. So they had it good.
right. Yeah,
Pakistan.
Pakistan did have it good, and if you knew where to get in Pakistan, they even had magazines. You could get magazines. You could get like music. You could get almost anything over there that would be, that was kind of standard in UK and the United States at the time.
And speaking of Pakistan, that's how I found out about Alice in Chains. My first, I bought a cassette.
Right.
Alice in
wow.
Chains from Pakistan, from Clifton.
Right.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
That's cool.
here's the interesting thing. I don't know, Ahmed Rasul, you could probably chime into this. Did you know any Alice in Chains fans in Saudi Arabia, like hardcore Alice in Chains fans?
Only one, but I'm not sure if it was Saudi or after
Okay.
Saudi. Khalid, he was big into Alice in Chains, but not so much. Not really.
Same here. I didn't know that many people that were really into Alice in Chains.
Me neither. Just me.
Yeah, and that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Again, see, it's like it's whatever you can get, you become a hardcore fan. I remember as a kid in Pakistan, I got a hold of like say Iron Fist comic books, Daredevil comic books. These were like third tier characters in the Marvel universe. But because I was reading, I was so into it that they became one of my favorite. And then when I tell people like, "Oh, I really like Iron Fist," and they're like, "What?" Even prior to the show, they're like, "What? That's your favorite superhero? You're joking, right?" I'm like, "No, no, no. I really enjoyed Iron Fist." But yeah, that's the thing. Like whatever you can get, that becomes your
Yeah. Get whatever you can get your hands on. That's how the hip hop scene flourished in the 90s. You know, when the NWA
Mhm.
came out and Big Daddy Kane and a couple other guys. It wasn't in the stores. It was through like in the American school. Friends would pass CDs and cassettes to their friends. That's how I learned about the hip hop scene.
right. So here's my going back to another question that we had, and I think you already mentioned it prior. Was you learning your guitar tabs from the first, not the first, but Nevermind album? Um,
Yeah.
was that your first guitar tabs, or did you learn more from other albums?
I didn't have the tabs for Smells Like sorry, for Nevermind. I just did it by
Okay,
ear.
okay,
So somebody taught me what a power chord was.
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, so power chord, you go boom, 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 boom.
Mhm.
Okay, there you go, power chord. I'm like, hey, that's not bad, man. Let's try that out on the Nirvana album. Boom, the whole album. You know, it's done, right? So
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah. Teen
so
Spirit.
Yeah.
that's how it started, yeah.
Yeah.
And After that, the second album I tried to work on was Appetite for Destruction, which
Oh,
was yeah,
my favorite.
a different kettle.
Yeah.
This is all together. It's quite. It was difficult, but it was fun. It was challenging, and eventually somebody went to the States. They bought tabs for.
Nice.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Appetite for Destruction. But so I learned Appetite through
Right.
tabs, and I learned a lot about music
Mhm.
uh, through that album. So now because of that, I could understand music better, especially blues and rock
Right.
Yeah,
composition
yeah, yeah.
scales. So I look at it like that too. It's not just like okay, it's C here, D here, E here. Just trying to learn how this guy's doing it.
Right.
So it's very very helpful.
That's interesting. And then you learn to read music from those guitar books as well?
Just a little bit, but I prefer the numbers. It's a lot
Right, right.
easier. I'm
Yeah,
not that
okay,
good.
okay. Understood,
Okay,
understood.
so
So it's kind of
because you have homework to do as
yeah,
well, right? And then your mother's like, "Padhai
yeah,
karo, isko guitar mat bajao," So you have to. It's a balancing
yeah.
act.
It's definitely a balancing act. So you would have to find that medium. But it is a difficult thing, like sitting down learning an instrument is extremely difficult.
And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
can relate to that.
Even for me, like we had a band here. You give me drumsticks, you're like, play this. I can't
Hmm.
do it. I'm like, I'm not playing drums.
Right.
Can't do it. Doesn't make any sense. Can't even time the thing. Even for bass, I can play a little bit of bass, but guitar is where it's at. It's just very natural.
Hmm.
It's complete. It's very. I don't know why, but it's the way it is, and it's very easy to be interested in it. I'm never bored of it. Always learning something from it.
Oh yeah.
So it's it works for me. I understand that it's not for everybody.
Now, Rocket, you are playing the guitar as well, right? Like you've been practicing for a while, and you can kind of chime in as far as difficulties.
Yeah, I kind of got into it quite late. So I learned my first song when I was 17. My cousin
Mhm.
taught me Wonderwall on his guitar. So I only
Nice.
knew that one song. So I was like a one trick pony for like 4 or 5 years because there was no one because I left that city and there was no one to kind of learn from and there was no YouTube. Um, then again in my early 20s I tried and then gave up. And then it was really like when I was like 35 I really got
Mhm.
into it the last 5 years.
Nice.
And
It's good, man.
yeah,
Stay
I'm
at
not
it, dude.
great. Yeah, I'm not great or anything, but it's a lot of fun. Like I just enjoy the experience, just like
Yeah, yeah,
playing
yeah,
music.
yeah. That's the right word. Enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
That's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, just carry on with it. Just started with the scales: E minor, E major, pentatonic, and Sweet Child of Mine, and just little things like Atif mentioned Nirvana, like Lithium was one of the first. Enter Sandman is quite easy to start off
Yeah.
with, stuff like that. And yeah, just kind of carry on with it.
Cool.
Cool, cool. Ja, well, I'm gonna come to England. Let's do some Megadeth, huh?
Yeah, right. It'll take me a
Once
while
this
to learn, but
quarantine
yeah,
is done.
Yeah.
yeah,
From Rust in Peace, man.
yeah.
Hanger. That was that Hanger 18, whatever it's
Great.
called. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
great too. I love this one. Yeah.
Do the solo. You do the solo.
No, I can't except for Teen Spirit solo. That's the only one so far.
All right. Cool, cool, cool.
That was the easy
It's
Yeah.
all
one. So
good.
So segueing from Megadeth, speaking of Metallica, what was it about Metallica for you? Because you mentioned that's your favorite
For me,
band.
oh yeah, yeah. Down the line, in the beginning, it was never my favorite band. Like, how do I say? Mid '80s, the whole skateboarding thing
Hmm.
kicked in, right? And we go to like these compounds, and these guys be playing music in the background, and they're doing their stuff, and you would hear Metallica.
Hmm.
Uh, the first album, what was it called? Kill 'Em All, right? But I'm like, oh, that sounds good, but it's not my thing. It sounds gnarly. It fits in with the whole skate scene. It's not my thing. Later on, I think I heard what's the one after Ride the Lightning? Justice for
Right.
All. Okay, sometime in '90s, I'm like, whoa, this is that same band back then. Whoa, this pretty mature sounds changed quite a bit. Not bad, not bad. But yeah, whatever. It's all good. But when the Black Album
Hmm.
came out, I was already into music from a guitar
Hmm.
perspective, right? So I was more serious about music, and when it came out, I'm like, this is a great album, man. This is pretty good. Uh, Good solos, good lead, good heavy
Hmm.
drumming. I like this. This is something different. So that's how I started liking
Right.
Metallica.
Now, particularly, what was your favorite songs on the Black Album?
It was not Enter Sandman.
Oh, interesting.
It was Sad But True.
Oh, okay,
Oh
Uh,
okay.
yeah, yeah. I love it.
Sad But True. What was the other one? Wherever I May
That's a good.
Roam,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and Follow the God That Failed.
Oh, wow, that's a deep cut.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yes. I was not really into the popular stuff. The stuff you see on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
charts. That's not my thing. I'm really. What are you all about? So this is a more go into the more deeper, darker
Right.
stuff, like not so popular stuff. What are you
Yeah,
really all about? And those were the couple of songs, especially "Follow the God That Failed." I
yeah.
really like that song.
Because you had,
The bass line, doo
yeah,
doo doom, doo doo doom.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had to go on the side two of that audio tape to get to that
That's right.
song.
Flip that sucker over. Yeah, no CD player. Yes,
So that was side two.
your old
Because side one had all
side two.
the actually literally the first four songs are all their chart toppers on side one, but on side two,
Yeah.
that's when you get into the God That Failed. That's interesting. So as you,
And now after the
Mhm.
Black album was Load and Reload, uh, I was really interested in those albums too. Not because they're commercial hits. There's something about it. It's like the darker, heavy
Mhm.
sound. Okay, and now as an adult, I've traced it all the way back to Black Sabbath. Black
Okay,
Sabbath after Ozzy, like between the Dio years. There's elements of that,
wow,
and I'm a big Black Sabbath fan too. So now I see where it's coming from.
right,
There's a new wave of British heavy metal. That's one element, but the darker, deeper stuff is definitely coming from
right,
Sabbath,
right, right.
right?
That's so interesting because two things I want to point out. Number one, we never hear about the Black Sabbath years with Dio,
I love those.
and that's the thing because I think I think it's the way history is written, and the way I think popular culture puts it is like, oh, the only Black Sabbath stuff that matters is the Ozzy Osbourne years because March of the Pigs and
Right.
uh, you know those types of songs, but nobody talks about Dio. So you would so for our listeners, you would highly recommend checking those out.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think the biggest problem with that era is the name Black Sabbath.
Right,
Okay, the way it's written, uh, the lyrics, the whole sound, it's not Black
right,
Sabbath. It's
right,
Dio.
right.
So if they had changed the name, I think in retrospect, if they changed
Hmm.
the name, uh, it would have been great. It's like what's that? Velvet
Yeah.
Revolver,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
three guys are the same from Guns N' Roses. The lead singer is
Hmm.
different, right? But it's a different name. It's not Guns N' Roses, right? So something like that. Change the name. It may have worked. But I really like those albums. Please listen to those albums and judge them for yourself. It's different. It's definitely not Aussie.
Right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're, whenever you get a chance, check out those albums. I will definitely check out those albums because,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
because that's a nugget for me. That's gold, a gold nugget for me that you just mentioned. That it's something that I think that we often hear about is just the Ozzy Osbourne years, and then they kind of just dismiss
Yeah.
the other years, and I think that's very important. So yeah, definitely we'll check it out.
Yeah, yeah. Even in the groove of it, the way it
Hmm.
flows, it's apples and oranges, man. It's totally different.
Right.
Uh, yeah, I don't know how to explain this, but like when I listen to Black Sabbath with
Hmm.
Ozzy, it's kind of groovy, somewhat
Hmm.
psychedelic, but heavy, kind of rock. But when you listen to Dio, it's more like fantasy and mystical, almost like an Iron Maiden
Right, right,
kind of
right,
a touch, but
Hmm.
but slower, not that
right.
fast. So
So they definitely slowed it down. Okay, yeah, because I I think when I moved to Canada, I got more into punk, and for me, the first four albums, because I think that's where they were coming, the direction with Metallica was coming from, is like, hey man, we can speed it up just like these punk guys and play it like that, and the sound was more rock. I mean, I want to say more organic, but that's not fair because I think
right,
even the Black album I think sounds pretty organic, and even the other two albums because I try not to thrash albums and I try not to thrash bands, but I think those albums quote unquote sold out. That would be that would be kind of like that was their signature sound that got them a massive audience.
Right, and that's the magic of
Hmm.
Bob Rock. That's what I mean. I learned this when I moved to Canada eventually, that he was like, your albums, you're not really capturing your
Hmm.
sound. And Metallica was like, what the f are you talking about? And he's like, let me show you how it's done. So hence the Black Album.
Right.
That was his thing. That was his shtick anyway. I mean, I learned
Right.
this
Right.
later. So
Yeah. I'd well, that's for some other time.
all right, cool. Hey
Yeah,
man,
yeah. No, no. I mean, it's a. I think it's a difference of. It's not a. I want to say like it's a different perspective, but I think it's because if we get into that, then it's going to go into a tangent that I think it's better suited for another time. But nonetheless,
if you really want to listen to a Metallica album, one I recommend is Garage
yes,
Incorporated.
yes, and we had me and Ahmed Rasul. We were talking about that. That there was one of the things that we did miss in our last podcast was that particular album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just hear it out, because it's not really Metallica. It's cover
Mhm.
songs of bands that Metallica liked, and they're done
Yes,
very, very
they
well. It's a
are.
cool
They
album.
are.
Yeah.
They are. So going back into it, relating back to it. So and I think we kind of covered this. Tell us your favorite records.
By Metallica or by other
Yeah,
artists in general?
I guess other artists in during that time when you were in Saudi.
Okay, all right. So let's start. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. What was it Nirvana, Nevermind, and was that in Incesticide, the
Nice.
follow up album?
Hmm.
Nirvana, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Hmm.
I like that album a lot. Trying to think who. Okay, Metallica, obviously the Black Album. But at that time, before going to bed, I would always listen to Master of Puppets or Justice for All.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah, especially Master of Puppets had this kind of like, it's a slightly different vibe. Wasn't Yeah, there's something about it. It was, apart from not the song
Hmm.
Master of Puppets, some of the other ones like Leper Messiah. I'm like, this is pretty cool. There's something different. So I listened to
Hmm.
that. Ooh, who else? Who else? There was a lot of music back then, man. Did
Any
I say
prototype?
Soundgarden?
Soundgarden?
Yeah, Soundgarden. Bad
Oh
Motor
yeah.
Finger.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alice. Yeah, yeah,
Those are.
yeah. Alice in
Hmm.
Chains. Pearl Jam. 10. The
Hmm.
first album.
Oh yeah.
What was that? Extreme. Nuno Bettencourt.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Extreme.
yeah.
Three
Yeah, yeah.
sides to a story. Skid Row.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The Youth Gone Wild. Right?
Youth Gone Wild. Still wild. Anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So Youth Gone Wild and the Slave to
Hmm.
the Grind. Also a great album.
Slave to the Grind was by who again? Skid Row.
Skid Row.
Okay, okay.
Skid Row. Yeah.
Hmm.
Aerosmith. What was it called? Aerosmith. Pump.
Get a grip.
PUMP. Pump. Yeah. Love in an Elevator. Around that time, that was the
Oh,
one.
that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Hendrix. I had some Hendrix. Yeah, but I didn't like him. I just liked a
Okay.
few of his songs. Wasn't really into Hendrix that much. I'm out, man. I can't think of anymore. I'm too old for this.
No, no,
No.
that's
That
actually
was
really
quite-
good. That's
yeah.
actually really good because
You too.
yeah.
I forgot you too. Achtung baby. Achtung baby and Rattle and Hum.
Nice. Okay, 1988 or 89? 88. Yeah.
Probably something like that.
No, those are actually really good albums. I think again, if our listeners have, I encourage the listeners to go back and check out those albums. Those are awesome albums. Very guitar driven albums.
Yeah. Essentially, that's what I'm looking for. It's like, how are they doing it? What is he using? What kind of effects? What kind of amps? What kind of pedals? What's going on here? And what's the concept? That was my my approach for listening.
Interesting.
It wasn't.
No,
yeah.
go on, please.
No, I was saying I wasn't really into like headbanging, and just like, yeah, man, rock out party. No, I was like, how's he doing that? What's he using, and how is he doing that, and
Right.
what are they doing? So like even at concerts, when I go to concerts, I'm not headbanging. I'm just watching the stage. I'm watching these guys how they are working with each other. What is when the drummer looks at the bass player? What's he saying? What happened there?
Mm-hmm.
When they're doing the switches? When does he step on the
Oh,
pedal? When
nice.
does he step off
Okay,
the
okay.
pedal? You know, what about those guys in the back? Who are those three guys on the left? The guys on the right? You know, like things like this. It's just
You're right, right.
it's hard to explain. I know it's a
No,
little
no, no.
OCD,
That's
but hey,
because you're coming from a different background. You're coming from a background of someone who's a musician, right? So you see that
right.
aspect of it. Maybe somebody that's a casual fan. I don't want to say casual fan, but just a fan of the music itself. They're there to headbang, but you're there to see like, oh, what is the technical,
Yeah, the
yeah.
technical side of it. How's this all done? How's
Mm-hmm.
it putting it together? How's he playing? Is he playing the same notes as the tab, or is
Mm-hmm.
he doing something else? Is he taking
Yeah.
shortcuts? You know, things like this. It's like it's a
What
million
amp?
things.
What
Yeah,
amp
what
is
amp?
he
Yeah,
using? What
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
guitar? Yeah.
Right.
I started to notice that in like the last 3 or 4 years a little bit more as well. Where when I was a kid, I didn't at all. But
I
yeah,
mean, I mean, yeah. When you start out, all you want to do is get one
Right.
song going, and
right.
maybe one or two chicks like you're playing. You know, that's really how it starts. Oh, he's a cool player. Ahmed can play. You know, yeah. You know, so, but then after that, things get serious. You're like, okay, let's put
Okay.
some time into this. Like,
Right, Karen.
So so getting back into it, I mentioned that you mentioned these records. I didn't hear any Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin came
Okay.
later,
Do you still? Okay, okay.
much later. Oh, I listen to Led Zeppelin like crazy. I have all
Mm-hmm.
the albums and everything, but that's much later. That's when you're backtracking
Yeah.
from your bands, like around college
Mm-hmm.
time and further into adulthood. That's when I was like more into Led Zeppelin, and I'm like, wow, this guy
Right.
can play.
And of your favorite albums, is there like favorite album number
Number
four?
4,
Okay. I'm trying to remember what some of the songs on number 4.
was it like what was that song? Yeah, with a yaar kya tha yaar? Well, the rock and roll. It's called
Oh
rock and
yeah,
roll.
yeah, yeah. That's
And
yeah.
when the
Oh
levee
yeah, yeah, yeah.
breaks, I think
That was
is
in
Led
the
Zeppelin 4.
Thor movies.
Yeah, I think so. Unless the guy put the wrong label on the CD copy, and some other fucking Led Zeppelin, but I think it's 4 all along. You know.
That had Black Dog, the first track.
Yeah, Black Dog,
Yeah,
Rock
Black
and
Dog,
Roll,
right?
The
Yeah.
Battle of
Yeah.
Paramore. Yeah,
Kala Kutta. Yes,
Into
yes.
Heaven,
When the
yeah.
Levees Break. Oh,
Battle.
there's some awesome songs on
Yeah,
this one.
yeah,
I think I might listen.
yeah. That's my favorite Zeppelin album too. I think 2 and 4, and then 1 and
Yeah,
3.
I think I will definitely go on.
Again,
Sorry.
it's a more organic style. It's fast. It's not like
Mhm.
it's not like a lot of
Right.
studio time in it. You know, plug in, ready to go. That's the kind of music I do. I think I kind of
Mhm.
gravitate towards. I think maybe that's why I like Metallica's Garage Incorporated. It was recorded in
Mhm.
like 2 weeks. Plug in,
Yeah.
let's go. See what you got. You know, I think that's my thing.
Yeah,
But
it's
everybody's different.
complete opposite of I think Axl Rose, because I remember reading an interview about Illusions 1 and 2. This was in Saudi Arabia, and I think Alice Cooper. No, actually, this wasn't Saudi Arabia. This was when I came to Canada. This is when I found out. So Alice Cooper was in the studio. I don't. It's an Illusions 2 song. I forget that Alex Cooper, guests on. And he said that Axel would keep re-recording over and over and over, trying to get perfection. So there'd be long hours and days that they would be in the studio, which was a complete opposite of Alice Cooper's like, this is rock and roll, man. Just do it.
Exactly. That's the old school rock and roll.
Yeah,
Let's just do
so
it. You got to capture the vibe
exactly.
when it's there. Sometimes you record this stuff and you know that chemistry, that vibe, whatever,
Yeah.
is not there. So
That was the Garden
Yes.
from Use Illusion 1.
yes.
So that's a very interesting thing, and I just I wanted to make sure that there was a mention of Led Zeppelin. I just wanted to confirm that.
Are you a fan or
You know
something?
what? No, it's not a. I'm not a huge fan, I would say, but I did listen. There was a period in my life where I think about 31, 32, I started listening to more Led Zeppelin. This might be sacrilegious to most rock and roll fans. Like, how can you listen to Led Zeppelin so far down the line? How can but
Well, it's not for kids. It is slightly बच्चों के लिए नहीं है ना. It's
yeah,
for more like, जरा जरा अकलमंद लोग नहीं.
yeah,
Like how they say in Urdu. I don't know if your fans, your listeners speak
yeah,
Urdu, but yeah, जरा पढ़े लिखे लोग ना, उनको तमीज
yeah,
होती है ना म्यूजिक की, तो उनके लिए, बच्चों के लिए नहीं है हेड बैंगिंग,
yeah.
उसके लिए निर्वाणा है.
So
हाँ,
yeah,
तो
if you're a serious music fan, and I think that's and I think coming from a guy that's a guitarist, I think, and you always talk about, and you definitely talked about like that kind of stuff. So I wanted to make sure that that definitely got included, you know. And speaking of which, did you like the Plant and Page album? That was the live album from MTV. You didn't? Okay,
no,
interesting, interesting.
nah, it's not there. I mean, that
Hmm.
chemistry is good, but
Of
it's not
course.
Led Zeppelin.
No.
It's done.
Yeah,
It's the
agree with
time, the
that.
Hmm.
season is gone. That's how I felt.
Nice.
I mean, speaking of which, the singer, what's his name?
Yeah.
Robert Plant. He's done some great work with other artists.
Right.
Okay, uh, not like some other stuff, not Zeppelin stuff, original stuff, and they're really good albums for what
Right.
he's trying to do, like his sound, his, and I like that stuff, but I didn't like them together. I was like, nah, this is. It's like I don't know what it is. This is too modern or something. It's just not for me. I prefer the
So,
old stuff.
like Page and David Copperfield, Coverdale.
No. Much later. Much later. What was it called, man? Robert Plant, or and the Strange
Oh,
Sensations.
okay, okay,
They had an album. Well, that's a good
okay.
album.
Oh, nice.
And it's his
Hmm.
mysticism, but combined with the politics of the time. This is, I think, post 9/11, and the
Hmm.
war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Around that era, he came out with this album. It's a pretty good album. He's really good. He's really good. It's got a bit of that Zeppelin voodoo. It's not Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Something
this
else.
is one of the this is why I like talking to guys that are musicians, because they can always relate those kind of albums that we don't really generally hear about, or you know I think are brought into discussion unless you're a serious fan. So this is for us. I'm glad I got to hear this stuff, because for me this is definitely nuggets of gold. I know something to definitely go back and check out.
Yeah. There's a lot of artists that are not
Hmm.
so popular, even in our time, but they're great musicians.
Yes.
Musicianship. I mean, one band, for
Hmm.
example, Mr. Big. They had like
Yeah.
one hit, "To Be With You," right? I mean, I have that album, and from a radio point of view, it sucks. It's never gonna make it on the radio. I mean, these
Hmm.
aren't radio hits. But from a music point of view, the musicianship is incredible. Those guys
Right.
can play.
Now, uh, now speaking of guys that can play, and again, this is a very contentious kind of topic for many Guns N' Roses fans, is Buckethead. What did you think of
Yes,
Buckethead?
I don't want to swear, but he's incredible, man. He guy is
Hmm.
versatile. He has that thing called versatility. Not a lot of, including Slash. Guys like Slash are
No,
not
he's
versatile.
not, unfortunately.
And I'll explain it in a minute. Slash is a
True.
blues-based player.
Yeah,
So
he
so
just
he,
plays
so
blues, more
yeah.
or less.
So he tends to
Hmm.
stay in that box. Everything he does originates with from a
Hmm.
blues perspective. Okay, and he adds things on top of it. Guys like Buckethead can just play anything.
Right. Yes.
You know what I mean? They're not bound down like, no, I'm a blues player. I only play blues rock. They will do anything. They'll do all these crazy scales,
Hmm.
finger tapping, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother them. So so that doesn't mean Slash is a
Yeah.
bad player or he's not good. But it's just
Very,
two
yeah.
different
Apples and
things. Apples and
oranges.
oranges. But
Yes.
he is a good player.
Um,
Yeah. He needs to lose the bucket though. Come up with something else. But I don't know. I don't like that bucket though.
yeah.
But guy can play.
Yeah, I think it hurt him in the long run.
Okay. I mean, he's a really good player. Paul Gilbert
Hmm.
from Mr. Big, another great player. Uh, tries to diversify, but still somewhat
Hmm.
blues based. There's
Yep.
Nuno Betancourt, from Extreme. Just throwing some old names.
Right.
Great player. tries to be more
Right.
like Queen, Brian May.
Mm-hmm.
Put everything in there.
Wow.
I guess, yeah, I know it's I mean, there's a blues musician back in the 60s.
Right.
His name was Freddie King. Okay, he was one of Eric Clapton's
Uh,
influences, right? One of
don't
his
mean to cut you
solos.
off, but any relation to BB King?
Yeah. No. There are three kings in blues music:
Mhm.
BB King, Albert
Ah,
King, Freddie
and
King.
thank you for clearing that up. Thank you for clearing
Okay,
that.
there's three. Yeah, there are three kings. Yeah, I listen to a lot of
Right.
blues. Actually, I love blues. So, but that's a later thing. It's not when you're
Yeah.
16. It's more adult. जब बुड्ढे हो गए ना,
Right.
बच्चे हो गए ना, अब बस
Right.
अफसोस ही अफसोस है, you know. तो blues सुनो, हाँ. But so anyway, so one of his songs, the blues solo is only one note.
Right.
Okay, and Eric Clapton says that's the best solo in the world.
Nice.
So I guess it's all about
Mhm.
timing, feel,
Right.
how to put it together. At the composition, does it work? Does it move you? Does the message go across? I think
Right.
all that matters in the end. I mean, look at Kurt Cobain. You know, he isn't exactly Mozart on guitar, but
Yeah.
whatever he does, it works, right? You like it, I like it.
Right.
We're inspired by it, and it works. I mean, look at someone like
Mhm.
Noel Gallagher, who's a good player, but
Yeah.
he's been criticized over and over again of being too much like the Beatles. But I don't think so. I think he's inspired by the Beatles, but he's definitely has his own voice.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Right.
and he makes it work.
Now, I'm not familiar with this concept, but I had heard about it. So basically, they say that certain guitar tabs and movement of guitar tabs, there can be a mathematical formula indicating how you can do those movements, and
Yeah.
It's been criticized that, and I've heard that I'm not sure, but I think they call it math rock. But is it really real? And can you tell us a little about it?
I've heard a little bit about it. I tend to
Right.
ignore it. I don't want anything to do with it. If it's too
Right.
mathematical, it's not music. You know, there's no feel in it. There is this thing called circle of fifths. Fifth, any bunch, fifths, right? I don't know how it comes out on this mic, but circle of fifths. This is
Mhm.
how music is grouped. If you learn that, you can
Right.
play almost anything. And a lot of jazz guys who are great guitarists, they play within a certain box, but they're always going outside the box and then coming
Right.
back in the box. And when you look at, since we're talking about music, we look at Indian music, Pakistani music,
Mhm.
like music on sitar, tabla, especially South Indian drumming. Their drum beats are technical as, you know, as I don't want to say the F word, but yeah, as that. So very, very technical beats. But we don't learn this stuff in school. We don't learn about, like, you know, Indian music or Pakistani music, so we can't really appreciate it. But there's a lot of technical
Right.
stuff there as well. So, but again, at the end of it is how do you
Right.
put it together?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people have lobbed that criticism towards Buckethead, is that it tends to veer into like math rock.
Well, fair
Mhm.
enough, but he isn't the only one. You look at some of the new rock bands now, metal bands
Mhm.
like Periphery. Okay, I don't know. Do you know
I
these
haven't
names?
heard of
Periphery.
Qureshi.
Have you heard of Periphery?
No.
Okay, it's like a heavy metal band. It's super
Mhm.
technical stuff. There's another metal band, Animals as Leaders, with Tosin Nabasi. He's a guitar player. He plays
Mhm.
eight string
Wow.
guitar. Does some
Right.
crazy stuff, sweeps and
Mhm.
all this other stuff, right? And it's melodic, but it's that
Right.
mathematical melody. It's not feel melody like
Right.
a blues
Obviously.
player does, right? So yeah, so
Mhm.
there's that side of music. It's what I guess what you want to do, what the
Yeah.
song needs.
And I
That's how I
think
look at
you
it.
pointed out pretty good that that math rock then it turns into a video game as opposed to because
Right,
you're
right.
just you figured out some sort of algorithm, and now you can work accordingly to that algorithm. Like if I work this way and I do it this way,
Yeah.
then you're right, you lose the soul, you lose, it becomes too conscious of an effort.
Well, another word for math rock is hair metal.
Yeah.
It's a formula rock. What happened to that
Yeah.
is done, finished, buried.
Mhm.
Nobody cares about it anymore. So that's how I feel about it. It's the same thing over and over again. Same band saying the same stuff, playing the same way, and
Oh, obviously,
boring.
obviously. So, leading up to my next question is, what are some of the Pakistani bands you enjoy?
They go, yeah. Growing up in Saudi Arabia, there was only two bands: Vital Signs
True.
and Junoon. Right? Those are the two biggest, and there was Strings as well. So those were my first three pop bands. Okay, I listened to Nazia Hassan, but I was very young then, right? So, but those are the first three, and obviously out of those
Right.
three, I'm gonna go for Junoon. So that was my first exposure to Pakistani pop, Junoon.
Nice.
Teeny, there was no such
No,
thing.
no,
There was
there
no such
wasn't.
thing back then.
I don't know if you're familiar, but I think in Pakistan there was a burgeoning death metal, black metal, doom metal, speed metal scene. Yes, this was
Oh, really? The
yeah,
Barbarians? What was it called? The Barbarians, the
something
two
like that.
brothers. Yeah, they used to play. Yeah, I turned that off. I'm like, nah, man, this is like
Okay.
too much for me.
Yeah, it's very interesting that that scene came about. Like I didn't like. There's a lot of that kind of metal fan base in Pakistan. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
that's
interesting. I
good.
find it very interesting, but something to point out that oh, that's interesting. The kids are all right. That's what I say. Um,
What about you? What were you into?
yeah,
Junoon probably back then.
I was
Well, I mean,
more
there
of
was nothing else.
more vital signs and
अबे vital signs क्या बात है
yeah,
भाई?
and
Romantic
strings
आदमी
as
हो?
well. शेर शायरी भी थी ना शेर शायरी भी थी उसके अंदर in
ये शायरी उफ वो
strings
poet yeah
strings
क्या बात है
lyrical
माशाल्लाह.
content. Yeah, I was a very romantic kid. I didn't get into Junoon until much later, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, these guys
Okay.
are pretty cool, man. I like these guys." And I'm glad I listened to them much later because during the time that they were getting super popular. I think sometimes that's not a you kind of go with the flow of what everybody's listening to, so it kind of yeah.
Yeah, I remember that phase. Yeah, everybody used to come up to me like when I was in college. Hey, guy, have you heard of Junoon? I'm like, what are you talking about Junoon, man? We invented
Mhm.
Junoon, man. You don't know anything
Yeah,
about Junoon. कल के बच्चे आ रहे हैं, बता रहे हैं
Yeah.
Junoon सुना है आपने?
yeah.
It's like no, man. So yeah, of course,
Yeah.
So
So I'm
I know
glad I
what you're
got to
talking
listen
about.
to him much later because then I think we did a podcast on Junoon and I was, relaying my favorite songs um there were I think a lot of times even with the Oasis there was a couple of songs where I told Ahmed and Ahmed was like, "Wow, I can't believe you like that song." But yeah, so I'm glad because you get to listen without prejudice. That's what I want to say.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
so now I think you did mention a couple of metal bands that we didn't that you that were I guess they were new that you had mentioned. So are there any current metal bands you listen to or any new bands that you enjoy?
I'm not listening to any
Mhm.
new bands, but recently I've been listening to Mastodon. Kind of
Yeah,
like their vibe, man. It's a
yeah.
bit of old,
I
bit of
saw.
new.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and
I know. I was just gonna say I
yeah,
did. I saw them live, so I was like, oh yeah, this, they were
any good?
amazing live. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Right. And there's another band,
Hmm.
not new,
Okay.
Bullet from My Valentine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
kind of
Hmm.
revisit them a little bit. They're pretty good. They were gonna play here. We're gonna
Right.
go. Iron Maiden and
Oh,
Bullet from My
nice.
Valentine. They were gonna do a show in Japan. Uh, yeah, Bullet from My Valentine was gonna open, and I don't know. I think there's one more act. Can't remember what it was, and
Hmm.
then it was gonna be Iron Maiden. But the same day there was a big
Oh,
earthquake
yes,
here,
yes. I
the
recall.
Tohoku earthquake. Right, so everything got canceled. It never happened. So
Yes, I recall. And I just wanted to ask you because I think the last, I want to say the last 15 years that I was listening to music, and I got to, your tastes evolve. You like different styled guitarists and stuff like that. Um, have you ever heard of a band called Dinosaur Jr.?
yeah, of course, that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
during the
Did you,
alternative era.
on your scale of 1 through 10, how would you rate Jay Mascis, the guitarist? Very different,
It's
very
different
different,
stuff, man.
very
They're
different
coming from a
place.
different place. Yeah, they're not coming
Hmm.
from musicality in the sense of
Yeah,
music that we know. They're coming from more of an emotional music
Yeah.
driving emotion, or complementing what they're feeling. It was different, but he wasn't the only. I mean, he
Mhm.
was one of the guys, but
Yeah.
there's many others in that era. And I was living in England at that time. There's a lot of
Yes.
alternative music coming out, and they were using the same kind of, I don't want to say the word formula, but using
Hmm.
music to amplify their feelings rather than music being about melody and harmony.
Right.
So I was like, okay, cool. That's this thing.
Yeah.
It works. It's different. Why should it be the same?
Right.
Be out of the box.
Yeah.
That's.
I got to.
I mean, I don't really knock musicians too much. Not like you. I don't. This is what you want to do. Is what you believe in. Sounds all right,
Mhm.
and you just got to put it out there. See how the
Right.
response is.
Yeah. It's. I did get to see them live, and it was very. Oh wow, wow, it's
Any
so
good?
impressive.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Wow,
because
it's that good. Eh? Yeah. He doesn't
yeah,
look like it's
because
gonna be good
two
live, but
things. Number
okay,
one,
cool, cool.
they're not a very popular band, so I literally saw them for I think 25 USD, and that's
Wow,
cheap. I've seen a
that's
lot of
cheap, bro.
bands for like 10, $15, man, and some are good, some are not that good, but Dinosaur Jr. because I was like I fell in love with that sound, right? Like I guess it was what you had mentioned earlier that there's I think transitioning from that romantic boy listening to vital signs and strings where your emotions play your musical instruments.
Dil
Exactly.
dil Pakistan.
So I guess yeah, Dil Dil Pakistan got me to Dinosaur Jr. So
All right, nice.
Oh,
That's a little. That's
uh,
sounds like a
that's
movie.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
So
very
for me, it was
interesting. All
he
right.
was I was like, oh wow, this guy's really good, and I think like from that era, like and I don't want to say from that time that I was discovering these new musicians, and Jack White. Are you a fan of Jack White as well, or yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I like his stuff. It's very
Yes,
unique, but he's
very
very
very.
blues based. And that's why it's unique. Takes it to another
I
level.
saw
Yeah.
him live twice. One time I saw him live for $10, and another time almost damn near €200. So, but it was a festival.
What?
So it was a festival. So I got to see.
Okay. He's all right though. He's all right.
Mhm.
You know who wasn't so good? I saw
Right.
Jamiroquai.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, now
Hmm.
the band was incredible. Okay, those guys are
Hmm.
tight, man. Those guys couldn't play. But Jamiroquai, after every song, he's just out of breath. He's like passing out on
Wow.
stage. Okay, and in that concert, he's just wearing a t-shirt, and I think he's wearing some white pants. So he wasn't like super
Hmm.
overly dressed or anything, right? And he had like a headgear on, but dude was out of breath after every single song, and I was like, "What the hell's
Oh,
wrong with
okay.
this cat?" Right?
Yeah. Guess
But
for
the
him, the
band was
future is
tight.
not made up for children's actors.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
virtual insanity era. Yeah, around that time. Yeah, I'm like, nah, man, I'm
Yeah.
not seeing this guy again. This guy's dead, man. I mean, I saw
Wow.
Metallica 3 hours live,
Hmm.
not a single mistake. A
Yeah.
bunch of Budde rockers, not making a mistake, still
Yeah.
playing thrash, still kicking ass.
That's
So
yeah. Metallica's good like that. They can definitely play those songs, and I've heard yeah, Maiden too. Like
and
that's I
Maiden.
think. Maiden came last year to Canada, so next time they come, I'm definitely going to go see them live. I think that's a must for me now because that's two people. Yeah, two
Yeah,
people have
check it out. Maiden's
complimented
good.
Maiden, and now it's and because of Ahmed Rasul and his younger brother, I listen to a lot more Maiden now. So I think Power Slave is my after I'm done listening to like say so I start my day with like something slower like maybe like the first four Beatles albums again that's something that Ahmed Rasul suggested to me. So it's kind of a nice way to
Beatles is good, man.
yeah
Especially the '60s
very good
era.
stuff.
It's good
Hmm.
stuff. I listen to
Yeah,
Revolver, the
Beatles
White
now. Yeah, yeah, it's
Album,
pretty
like
good.
all those fantastic like phenomenal albums.
yeah.
Hmm.
Rubber Soul was another
And
one.
once I get into that, now I need to like pump it up an amp. And before it used to be punk rock, now it's Power Slave. So
So what happened to Dil Dil Pakistan? Doesn't that
so
get
that's
your
like
emotions going?
and it does because it's yeah the
Just about.
tail end of the day when I have to go home and I'm like oh this day's done reflect back on the past yeah, put on some vital signs one or two even three mostly strings two nowadays it's usually strings two
You know who I'd recommend? Since you're on such a power trip, so to speak.
Sure.
Something old.
Oh yeah,
Cream.
yeah.
Eric Clapton. Cream.
Cream is great.
Cream. Yeah, I love cream.
And
Yeah.
speaking of,
I learned how to play. Sorry, I learned how to play blues through
Mhm.
Eric Clapton. I used to listen to Eric Clapton. He's like
Right,
my teacher of blues.
Ah,
So, but
yeah.
Cream, love Cream. Disraeli
right.
Gears. That's the name of the album. Second album.
If
Love it.
mhm.
Good stuff.
Coming back
Psychedelic
from
and
that
blues.
same era, because I got into the Small Faces, aka the Faces, the first two albums. Oh, I love the Faces.
Right. Right.
Because that's a oh my god, are they
They're
good?
pretty good,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Rod
This
Stewart.
is like,
Very
and I
very
think I
good.
mentioned this before on a previous podcast. Like
I haven't heard that.
you
That's
listen
good
to
music.
the goofy, but if you think I'm sexy, Rod Stewart, and you're like,
That's a good
I
song.
think the
Yeah.
cheesiness of it, right? Like there's a bit of a cheesy song, right?
Yeah, cheesy.
Yeah,
It's got flamboyancy. It's just,
yeah.
the front man is
hmm
Rod Stewart. He can
But if
pull it
you,
off. I mean, if it's Nusrat Fateh Ali
yeah,
Khan singing that, it's not gonna
yeah.
work, right?
So I
So,
think when you exactly, so
so
when you
all of
listen
that.
to the first those, that those albums, and you're like, it's a very stripped down version of Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
and that's what I like.
Yeah, I love that.
The simplicity. Yeah,
Yeah.
the rawness
So
of it.
definitely put those. Like you gave me a bunch of ideas, so I'll definitely check out all those albums. And which leads me to my final question. So it's actually a two-part, and I talked to Ahmed Rasul about this yesterday, and I showed him a picture, and I heard a couple of videos. I haven't heard all the songs and everything. I haven't really gotten too much into it. Do you listen to X Japan?
I used to.
Really?
Yeah, they're
Tell us a little
incredible.
bit about them.
Well, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
learning about them myself because, like I was telling Ahmed before the podcast started, I can speak Japanese, but it's not
Mhm.
like super good or anything. But X Japan is a rock band from
Mhm.
like the mid '80s, right? And
Right?
it's their version of glam and rock
Yeah.
combined. But these guys can play. It's visual.
Mhm.
It's called visual K. It's a
Oh,
genre on its own. Okay, but what makes X Japan so cool is that the songs resonate
okay.
with the listener. It's not just crappy
Okay.
hair metal songs. You know, there's meaning in the songs. So it resonates with the
Mhm.
listeners. These guys can play,
Mhm.
and these guys look good. It's just on stage they're incredible. The live shows just kick ass. So it works, and they sold tons
Mhm.
tons and tons of albums in
Yeah.
Japan and around the world.
I believe on Slash's newest album, there was a bonus track that the lead singer from X Japan worked on, or something like that. If that happened, because I think Slash is a fan too.
Who Yoshiki?
Right.
Yeah, you gotta be. If you're a guitarist, forget the name of the
hmm
songs. Like how you do that, how you play this. Some very good riffs, fast riffs, slow,
Right.
technical. They do all that.
hmm
The musicianship, right?
Right.
It's there.
And speaking of which, kind of a goof on, I guess, not a goof because I think they're kind of serious about their art. And I think I posted this video on your Facebook, and I apologize, and I took it down as well. Baby Metal.
Oi, oi, baby metal. Oh my god, what are you saying? All right, I'm done. I'm out of here. See y'all. Delete, delete this show. God damn it. Start from the beginning. Abbe yaar, baby metal. I really don't see. I just
Right.
why, you know, the
Mhm.
yeah, why? Okay, so that's my thing. But people enjoy it, and I feel sorry for those people.
Right.
But
Right.
anyway, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Mhm.
However, having said that, the actual band, the musicians, they're very very good. And if, my neighbor is a big baby metal fan, and he gave me a CD. And he's like, "Please listen to
Right.
this."
Right.
I'm like, "No, I don't want this." He's like, "No, please. You're my
Right.
neighbor.
Right.
Please listen." I'm like, "All right, okay, whatever." So I listened to it. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of throwbacks to Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax. There's a lot of homage to those kind of bands
Right.
from the band itself. But As a why? I mean, why?
Yeah,
Why do you need baby
I
metal,
think
man? I mean, my head hurts.
I think it. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
No, I'm just saying there's a song called "Give Me Chocolate." I mean, why does that have to be metal?
Right.
Why can't it be pop or techno or disco or something? I don't know, man. This
Oh no, no.
it's a
Of course,
point
of
of
course.
contention.
The band I wanted to mention was something my youngest brother gave to me, and I was like, "Oh, these guys are rad." It's a Japanese band by the name of Electric Eel Shock.
Electric Eel Shock. I
Yeah.
never heard of it.
Oh, they were pretty rad. They were a garage band.
Okay.
That fast punk style,
Right.
but there was guitar solos.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay. And while we're here, why don't you maybe Google this band, Maximum the Hormone.
Maximum the Hormone. Okay.
Maximum the Hormone.
Okay.
You're gonna like it. Same kind of stuff. Bit more on the heavy side though. Still speed, fast, vicious, but very very heavy and very like growling vocals.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of growls.
There's another band that I remember listening to in college, and I'd gotten this was back in the day of Livewire and what's it called? The illegal downloading program that Metallica. Napster. So Guitar Wolf.
Okay.
Another Japanese band.
Guitar Wolf.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of that. There's quite a lot of bands there, but no, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of bands from Japan as far as like guitar.
Okay. Right. Since we're talking from a guitar point of view, here's a band I would like to recommend. The band name is Loudness.
Mm-hmm.
Loudness, right? It's from the hair metal era, from the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the cool things about this band is that it was produced by Kramer, the same guy who produced Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Check them out. They're very very good.
Okay. Yeah, definitely will do. So that in itself wraps up for me. I think I covered up almost literally everything that I was going to ask, and plus some more.
बहुत ज़्यादा पूछ लिया यार. Too much. I'm just kidding. No, I enjoyed this. This was fun. If you have any last questions, please shoot.
Yeah.
I think, I just hope you come back. This was a lot of fun. And it was great.
I'm here, man. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
And I just wanted to mention that I think you were our first listener too. I know you also do the guitar intro for our podcast. So
yes. I'm sorry if somebody didn't like that. It was,
no, I love it.
Spur of the moment kind of thing. I'm like, this will be perfect. Let's just do this. Boom. So yeah, I enjoyed this. Yeah. We'll I hope can do more shows together.
Mm-hmm.
Talk 100%. Music. Yeah.
Sure.
Lots of music in this world. Lots of cool ways of looking at it, and nice place to be, man. It was nice talking to you guys too.
Absolutely,
like last time we spoke, we were like kids.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we haven't even actually spoken, me and you.
No, we have, but long time.
Oh, we did.
It's vague. Okay. It's like that guy. That guy is Aatif.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
Yeah. Stay away from him. Just don't piss him off, right?
He's a bad influence.
Cool. Yeah. Usse duro badmash hai. Okay, yeah. So like that. So like, hello, hi, how are you doing? So
cool. And it's kind of funny because now he's a teacher and he's a family man. Yeah. Back then we knew him as a skateboarding, guitar playing badass
with the long hair.
Yeah, long hair too.
Well, the badass is just refined now. It's still in still there. Right. Still time to time it comes out in the class. So well, those are stories for another time. And like I always tell these kids, you think you guys are badasses? You ain't seen shit. So anyway, but that's the story for another time. But it's good to see this generation, see what kind of stuff they come up with, and some of it is quite weak. Other stuff is really, really creative, and I actually tell them that was pretty good. I enjoyed that.
Right.
Yeah.
My thanks to Aatif for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely, we'll do more shows together, and we will be back. Stay tuned. This has been iRock City, and rock on.